Yes. All right, welcome everybody. I have been excited about this since Emma agreed to do this like a month ago. And I have known of Emma for about a year now. I heard her speak at a local women's event. I think it was last October at the Fem City event. And I knew one day that I would work with her. I didn't know how soon it would be. And I've had the pleasure of working with her since December of last year. And she's had such a significant impact in my life. And so it's really awesome to be able to bring her to all of you today. So I'm just very honored that you're here and most appreciative. And I know you're going to do amazing things for my clients. So are you going to do an intro for yourself, or do you want me to intro?
Either way is fine.
You should do it. You're probably better at it than I am.
Okay, cool. Great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll actually, in a little bit, I'll talk about why I do what I do. But the reason I'm here with you all today is to really dive into money mindset with you, to help you see how you might be stopping yourselves from receiving more money in your business. So what we're going to do together today over the next 90 minutes is I'm going to do some teaching for about 20 to 25 minutes to set the container on what I mean when I say money mindset, and help you start to unpack some of the patterns that are going on for you. And then we're going to do some hot seat coaching. So if you're willing, I actually want to do some one-on-one support with several of you to help you get unstuck and blast through whatever it is that is holding you back. So as you're listening to me and teach, I invite you to really listen for where you're feeling stuck around money and what support you might want in a coaching hot seat. Some other things to know about me: I am a minister, but I also curse, I snort, I laugh at my own jokes. I just kind of call it like it is. So hopefully you will be able to engage with that energy and meet me in that place, because I think the game of being an entrepreneur or leading a business it can be really intense. So the more we can be open and honest and present and authentic with one another, the more we can move through whatever evolutionary journey that we're on. Does that make sense so far? Cool. Okay. So here's the teaching. I believe that true freedom and financial abundance is being able to generate money anytime, anywhere that you desire. So true freedom and financial abundance is about understanding how to have a real relationship with money. That money is actually, it's not pieces of paper with colored ink on them. It's not the dollar amounts in your checking account, in your bank account, or even the indicator of your success in the world. The reason that you do not have the freedom and financial abundance that you desire is because there's something blocking you from having a relationship with money, right? There's something that's blocking you from being able to generate more money in your life, or in some cases, hold on to more money in your life, because one of the patterns that I'll often see with an entrepreneur is they can make a lot of money but can't hold on to it. So we'll talk about that today. I believe that when you master your relationship with money, everything becomes possible, absolutely everything. And until you master your relationship with money, you will always be chasing money. And that is a recipe for burnout and exhaustion. Or you'll be deluding yourself thinking that once you make a lot of money, everything will be okay and you no longer have to worry about money. And that is a recipe for disaster and depression. So let's use the dating analogy. How successful do you think you're going to be in dating if you're always chasing the other person? And do you believe that once you, quote unquote, put a ring on it, that you don't need to nurture that relationship anymore? You don't need to do anything to maintain that relationship. So that it's very comparable with your relationship with money. The reason 99% of people do not master their relationship with money is because they're unwilling to understand what money really is. They're unwilling or unable to look at and transform their limiting money beliefs. So the result is that they stay in this sometimes decades-long dysfunctional relationship with money, and then they die. So really think about that. Like, if you're in a relationship with money that's not working for you, how much longer do you want to keep doing that? And what is it going to take in order for you to get into a healthy, life-giving, abundant, fruitful relationship with money? I believe that success in business is 10% execution and logistics, and it's 90% managing you, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your decisions, your actions or lack of actions, and your mindset. So we're going to focus on that 90% today, because that 90% is what helps you to cultivate and sustain success in your life and your business. So I'm a business coach. I mentor conscious entrepreneurs, primarily coaches, healers, and practitioners. And I mentor them around getting their businesses aligned to who they are, around their money mindset, and around standing in who they are as leaders of their own business. I normally work with entrepreneurs already at 6 figures or beyond, wanting to get to that next level. And a lot of that next level, some of you may know this, is about being able to embody a new level of leadership. So I have been an entrepreneur for over 20 years at this point, and I don't mean to brag, but for the first 17 years, I managed to fail in all possible ways, right? So I want to share with you a list of all of the ways I failed in business for the first 17 years. I have refused to receive money for my services. I have thought that if I simply believed strongly enough, my clients would magically find me. I have created a vision board for myself to help bring in new sales rather than actually asking for the sales. I have told myself that it was more noble to not charge a lot of money for my services or my products, and that I was actually having a bigger impact by only charging $40 an hour. Meanwhile, I was never quite paying my bills, and I was in fear and scarcity all the time. I have told myself that people who have a lot of money are greedy and selfish. I have believed that the reason no one was buying from me is that no one understood my amazing spiritual gifts. I have let fear and indecision run my business for years. I have been unwilling and unable to claim the power and the responsibility that comes alongside growing a business. I have spent way more time than necessary doing all kinds of things in my business other than directly asking people to buy from me. I have worked with non-ideal clients out of fear that ideal clients would not show up. And I have surrounded myself with people who prefer to live in fear and scarcity rather than in abundance and possibility. So are any of those resonating with you all? Getting some yeses? Okay, cool. Yeah, so when I figured out how to work through that, and a lot of that was, Tasha Bailey saying, yeah, hey, Tasha, good to see you. When I started to work through those patterns that were keeping me from abundance, those mindset issues that were keeping me from showing up powerfully in my relationship with money, what happened is I started to really unpack a lot of the key issues that I see entrepreneurs struggling with, okay? So I see entrepreneurs struggling with not being willing to break through their limiting beliefs, especially the core belief that I am not worthy or not good enough. Breaking through the issue of not being willing to take responsibility in their own businesses. I was not willing to take responsibility. The issue of staying stuck in indecision, Because as you're scaling your business, you have got to become really decisive and learn to take action really quickly. And another key issue of not being willing to change their environment, like not being willing to make their family or their team members or their friends or whomever uncomfortable as they were growing their business. I was going through that as well. So 4 years ago, everything started to change for me, and here is why. I stopped rearranging myself in order to make other people more comfortable. I started charging what I am worth. I released my I am not good enough stories. I decided that not only was I going to be a great coach, I was going to do whatever it took to also be a great entrepreneur and leader in my business. I released indecision and started making powerful decisions for myself and my business. I dumped my fiance when he told me, no joke, he told me I was batshit crazy for thinking that I could be a full-time psychic business coach. So what happened when I made that shift, all of those shifts, is I went from generating an average of $500 in monthly sales to an average of $20,000 in monthly sales. I made that leap in 30 days. I grew a multi-six-figure business in 12 months with a basic website and no email list. So we're going to be talking about some of the mindset strategies that I use to make that shift that I teach my clients to make as well. So the first thing that I want to teach you is that this belief that I'm not worthy is a myth. So the issue, if you're feeling like you're not worthy of making more money, you're not worthy of having more, the issue is not that you are unworthy or even that you feel unworthy. The issue is that you are not allowing yourself to be fully self-expressed. The second thing I want to touch on is that with power comes responsibility. Most entrepreneurs fail, and y'all, again, I'm such a straight talker. I'm just going to tell it like it is. Hear as much of this as you're able to. Most entrepreneurs fail because they are unwilling to claim the power and the responsibility that comes with growing a business. They want clients and customers to just fly to them without learning how to do marketing and sales. They want to make more money, but they don't understand that who they are has to change in order for them to be able to attract and hold a new level of revenue. In order to make more money, you have to step into a different version of yourself, capable of attracting and holding more money. Who you are today is not going to get you to that next level. If it could, it would have already happened. Let me repeat that because I get that I'm triggering some folks right now. Who you are today is not going to get you to that next level. If that were true, it would have already happened. So I'm wondering if you all have heard about the lottery syndrome or the sudden wealth syndrome. So, okay, what that looks like is someone who wins millions of dollars in the lottery and then loses it all in a really short amount of time and ends up even deeper in debt than they were before they won the lottery. So some of that has to do with not understanding how to logistically manage a lot of money, but the majority of lottery winners lose their money because of mindset issues. What happens is that the lottery winner is so confronted by their own fears, their own limiting beliefs, and that fear of rejection or a judgment or visibility or shame starts making all of the decisions and taking all of the actions. Okay, so this has been referred to as the curse of the lottery. This literally is a syndrome for lottery winners. These people end up depressed, broke, They get divorced. They even die by suicide, unfortunately. About 70% of people who suddenly receive a windfall of cash will lose it within a couple of years, according to the National Endowment for Financial Education. All of their money that they have won gets spent in the name of looking good or not wanting to hurt other people, especially when friends or family demand money from them, or it comes from wanting to help everyone else. So that lottery winner's personal limiting beliefs are making the financial decisions. That person's purpose and passion have nothing to do with the decision making, right? The part of you that's feeling like you could lose your tribe if you say no to buying your mom a house or whatever that looks like, that part of you starts to run the show. And that happens in business too. As we start to make more money, those inner parts of ourselves start to run the show in ways that we were not anticipating. Another piece that I want to lift up for you all is that indecision will kill your business. So patterns of resistance are going to keep you playing small. So let me talk about resistance, because this is really critical, and sometimes it can be a little bit confusing to understand our own patterns of stopping ourselves as we're growing our businesses. So resistance is your ego trying to keep you safe or trying to keep you the same. And the ego freaks out anytime you begin to do anything new. So your survival instincts freak out, kind of like a toddler freaks out. And this is normal, right? Because the job of the ego is to keep you alive. And right now, in your current situation, you are alive. If you were to do something new and different that you've never done before, the ego perceives that as the threat. You could die, right? So the ego is going to try to shut you down. It's going to do its job. And we've got to understand that the ego actually keeps us from being able to move forward in business. So what this looks like in business is that when you begin to take new action, your ego gets really uncomfortable really quick because it doesn't like anything new or different. So to the ego, to your survival instincts, new is dangerous. It is bad. And your ego will start to shut you down using its weapon of resistance. And I'll talk for a minute about what resistance looks like. But the thing is, you cannot transform your ego. You can't heal your resistances. You can't just heal your way through your own survival instincts. That's not how it works. So it's important to understand what the ego is doing. It's doing its job. It's important to understand how resistance can show up for you. And then it's important to understand how to move through resistance. So let me give you some examples of resistance. The first is demotivation. And that looks like saying to yourself one day, oh, I'm so excited to launch this new marketing campaign, and I've got the content written, and I only need to do these other 12 steps before it can launch. And then day number 2, you say to yourself, you know, I'm not really motivated to work on that marketing campaign. Maybe that's not the right marketing campaign. Maybe I should be focusing on something else. Like, you lose all of your energy around it, even though yesterday it was a fabulous idea. Another way this can show up is confusion. So this can look, leave me alone, Emma. Okay, so I'm speaking to someone specifically. Excellent, good. If I'm triggering you, then this is working, right? If you're just like, oh, hey, I've got this all figured out, then you're actually resisting something, because I have yet to do any of these teachings where anyone has said, I don't think I experience resistance. So really listen for how you're getting triggered. Listen to what's coming up for you, because it's really going to help you moving forward in your business. So another form of resistance is confusion. Again, let's use the marketing campaign idea. So triggered. Awesome. So the confusion is, hey, I met with Nicole yesterday, or had a mastermind call with her, came up with this great new plan, and everything was awesome. But today It doesn't make any sense, and I don't really understand how it's going to work. That's a form of confusion. The next one is blank brain. It's waking up in the morning and saying to yourself, I literally have no idea how to market in my business. I don't know how. I can't think of a single thing that I could do. It's kind of like writer's block. Another form of resistance is forgetfulness. Like, it's really interesting. Forgetting how to, this can happen with technology, forgetting how to log into your email so you can email a prospective client or customer, right? Another form of resistance is research or planning. Oh, I just need to take an entire course, like brand new entrepreneurs. I need to take an entire course on how to do Facebook ads before I can start communicating with my prospective clients or customers. No, you don't need to learn all of that technology at that particular point. You need to learn how to have a human conversation between you and a prospective client. So doing way more research and planning that is actually necessary to accomplish the goals that you have right now. Another one is procrastination. I really want to do this new project in my business, but I need to deep clean my office, take care of my kids, deal with all the administration in my business before I can actually start working on the new project. It can also look like drama. This is a really tricky one. So when you decide to do something new, and sometimes you even begin to take action on it in your business, all of a sudden stuff can go haywire. Technology breaks down. Your washing machine stops working. You have a friend who calls you in crisis. One of your kids starts acting up. These are all forms of drama, and they seem important to address. And they are important to address. But think about how you are choosing to address them. With the washing machine, what you need to do is call a service repair technician and schedule them to come to your house to fix your washing machine. It doesn't have to derail you for an entire day or an entire week. Same thing with your kids or your friend or whatever's the technology. Get it handled, give minimal attention to it, and move on, because it can be a form of resistance. A couple more forms of resistance: lack of resources. And that looks like this. Well, I can't do this new thing in my business because I don't have the money or time to do it. There is always something new that you can do in your business with the money that you have, with the time that you have. So if you're telling yourself there's nothing you can do, you're actually avoiding an action step that you could take right now that would help you to move forward in your business. The next two are my favorite forms of resistance. The first is magical thinking, and it goes like this. And y'all, I work with spiritually oriented entrepreneurs for the most part, so it goes like this. I am just going to believe that money's going to show up and clients are going to show up. I'm just going to put all of my focus and attention into believing. And I'm saying this as a mindset coach. Believing, absolutely. You must believe in order for new results to show up. But you also must take action. You cannot have one without the other. They go together. The second form of resistance that I absolutely love is thinking that you are special and above doing the work. You are not special and you are not above doing the work. If you want to grow a business, you need to do the actual work of growing a business. You cannot abdicate that responsibility. Okay, 3 more and then we're going to move on. Abdication. Again, saying to yourself, I really want to do sales in my business, but I'm really afraid of doing sales, so I'm just going to hire someone to do the sales for me. That's abdicating, because until you understand the basics of how to sell in your own business, you're not going to be able to effectively train anyone else to sell in a way that really resonates to you and really resonates to your people. You cannot simply abdicate something because you're afraid of doing it. The next one is terror. So if you have moved through all of these other forms of resistance, the one that's going to show up is terror. So there's something called a terror barrier. And what this looks like is you're moving forward, you're taking action, you're noticing different forms of resistance showing up, you're continuing to move through them, and all of a sudden, you literally are terrorized. You feel like you might die. You feel like the entire world is going to just explode. And you feel paralyzed and you don't know how to move forward. That is the terror barrier. And that is your ego's last ditch effort to keep you the same, to keep you from changing. So if that's coming up for you, it's normal. And it means that you are further along on the path than you thought you were. It's like getting 95% of the way, then you hit the terror barrier. So if that happens for you, congratulate yourself. That's a positive forward motion. And the last one, depression can also show up, where you just feel like you can't get under the weight, out of the weight of your emotions. So again, that's normal. Don't make it mean more than it actually means. And the most surefire way to move through any of these forms of resistance is to start to take new action. Okay, so let's transition. Nicole, let me check with you. Do you want to see if people have questions about any of this? Do you want to move straight into hot seat coaching? What feels good to you?
Yeah, let's maybe, if anyone has a question separate from the hot seat, I have 2 people that were already promised an opportunity with you and a lot more who want it. So we'll move into that as quickly as possible. If anyone has a question, just unmute and jump in with that right away. We'll give like 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, Dave, can we see you? There he is. David first, hot seat.
And Dave, before you start, hey, good to see your face. Let me just say this for everyone. So the way I work, I'm a psychic business coach, right? So I don't need a lot of story. I don't need a lot of background. Tell me what your question is. Tell me what you're struggling with right now in just a couple sentences. And if I need more information, I'll ask for more information. And the other thing I want to say is please do not volunteer for a coaching hot seat unless you're ready, willing, and able to be vulnerable and authentic with me, okay? Because I don't want to be with you in your story. I really want to help you have the clarity and have the transformation that you desire today. So, and depending on how many folks we have for coaching hot seats will depend how long we spend with each person. Okay, so having said all of that, Dave, go for it.
Hello, and my name is Dave, and I live in Austin, Texas. And I guess my question is really about, I mean, basically everything you said, like all of those last lists, like I've experienced all of them at the same time, like depression, everything, right? And so it's a cycle that's been coming up for me. And so I guess the question is, what's the best way to break through or to trust? It seems like a pattern for me the last 4 years is at least once a year around this time of year, I get to this point where I'm ready to break through, or there's this gnawing thing inside of me that tells me it's something else. I start doing some soul work about my purpose, and this kind of purpose comes out of me. But then as soon as it starts to come up, all of those other things kick in. And so how can I finally just get that crap out of the way and like move on into this new space that I'm supposed to move into?
So historically, when all that crap shows up, how do you handle it?
I mean, it's all of those, right? It's like I'll go through a depression and I'll just like write it off, or I'll start doing some work, and then yeah, like you said, like everything in my world will break, and so I get distracted with my kids or my business that I have right now, or getting the car fixed. Or I mean, every one of those ways pops up, and so I let all those distract me almost consciously because it's easier than doing the work of moving into the new space.
Wow. Okay, so you have a beautiful self-sabotage pattern.
Sure, yeah, why not?
Okay, cool. So talk to me about what it will be like for you it sounds like you're launching a new business, correct?
I mean, No, I just feel like the business that I'm in is not totally serving me the way it could. And I feel like ultimately there's a different direction or a pivot that I need to make with it, whether that
Okay.
means changing it altogether or I'm not sure what it means, but it just, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So what's the consequence if you pivot and start to have a wild amount of success in your business? What's the negative consequence?
Honestly, I can't think of one other than maybe having to uh, do some uncomfortable things with the one that I have now, like maybe giving up clients or, shutting it down or something like that. But consciously, consciously, I can't see anything bad.
Okay.
Um,
So how is it going to affect your time? How is it going to affect your intimate relationships?
I mean, that's just like a fear of the unknown, right? Like, I mean, theoretically, it would make everything better because I would be happier and doing something that's more aligned with me and more serving of me, and I'd be affecting more people positively, and there would be all the abundance and all that. But certainly there must be some. I mean, I'm sabotaging myself, so I don't know. I mean, my primary relationship, I mean, it could strain it. I don't know. Is that what you're asking? What, in my primary relationship or just any relationship?
Well, probably in your primary relationship, that's what I'm getting right now. Because so if we can see the success that's available to us, and Dave, this is for you, but also for everyone else listening, if we can see the success that's available for us, if we can see the positive outcome of having a more financially successful and vibrant business, then that's one thing. But if we can see it and don't yet have it, it means that there's something that we're afraid of. There's a consequence of having that level of success that frightens us. It could be that it will may upset our primary partnership, that our primary partner will feel threatened if we make more money than they do, or has a fear that the new business will take time away from the family, or it could be a fear that you, the entrepreneur, carry that, well, I can only have a successful business if I'm working more, if I'm efforting more. And that actually is a self-sabotage thing. We keep ourselves the same because we're afraid of what that level of success will require of us. Or we don't want to be more visible, right? We're already as visible as we want to be. And if we were to be more successful, then lots more people would have opinions about us and how we show up in the world and who the fuck do we think we are.
I mean, there's certainly some of that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, talk about that.
I mean, it just feels very visceral and young, right? Like, I mean, just that fear of judgment. It
Mm-hmm.
again, none of this like consciously makes a lot of sense. It just feels like there's that element there for sure. Like, yeah, like all those things you say, and my conscious brain says, oh, that's silly and ridiculous. But there's like this very inner child in me that's like, yeah, just you're doing great the way you are, and everything's working well, and people like you who you are. And if you change and you start doing that, yeah, of course, like people could put you down or judge you or whatever. I don't know.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, and that's normal to have that concern of being judged. So how specifically are people going to judge you personally?
I'm yeah, maybe just like verbal ridicule or something, like people just talking shit about you, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Okay, look, what kind of shit?
Uh uh like I don't know, who does he think he is, or that guy's full of crap or stuff like that.
Okay. So are you full of crap if you make a lot of money? Are you full of crap if you pivot your business in the way that you want to and it actually works? What makes you full of crap?
Um yeah, I guess if you just start yeah, I mean if you're just kind of speaking what your truth is, and maybe that rubs people the wrong way or they don't resonate with it, or I don't know, like probably not the success element as much as just like not feeling what you're putting out there, or wondering, like, I mean, when you say like a lot of the stuff that you do, like the psychic stuff, like I can imagine, like I feel like there's this sort of more spiritual side of me that's coming out, and I just don't even know how to show up that way. Like,
Okay.
and I'm gonna feel like if I do start doing that, people are gonna be thinking, this guy's a woo woo wacko guy, and that just seems weird to me.
Okay. So that's the root of the issue for you. Can you feel the truth of that? That
Yeah.
if you were to actually expose your spiritual woo-woo side, people would judge and ridicule you. And you don't even fully understand it yourself.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So what is it going to take for you to express more of that part of who you are? Because that, Dave, that is your path to freedom and financial abundance.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just feeling supported. So, the people that do matter to me, like even people in this group and Nicole, and just there's other people. I mean, knowing that other people have done that and it's worked, and having people that I care about support me, like that feels good. And honestly, like some of it's the pain of just like, I'm tired of being kind of stuck and letting myself being stuck and self-sabotaging it. Like, I'm wondering what it's going to take, because the cycle keeps repeating myself. So, I know better as an intelligent person. I know that like facing the fear, like, is the best way to go through it and work through it. So maybe it does mean I just have to show up more often and just randomly, turn on Facebook Live video and start blathering just whatever comes out through me. I mean, maybe it's really a matter of just being that simple, because some of it is like exploring it for myself. Like, I don't know what it means and where it's intended to go, but I also know that I can't continue to like push it aside while I work on other things, because it keeps coming back and saying, no, you need to keep going this way, and I'm like, no, I'll get to that later, or I don't know what that means, or I'm too busy with these things right now. And so I don't think it's going to be clear to me what it means until I pay attention to it and really let myself do that stuff. And so, yeah, I think maybe I just have to show up and do that work, but I don't know what that work is, other than to, I guess, just explore it and face it. But I don't know if that's journaling or video or conversations, or I don't know what that is.
So on your deathbed, what do you want to say about the purpose of your life and the impact that you have had?
What do I want to say about myself, or what do I hope people say about me?
What do you want to say about yourself?
I want to say that I lived this life to its absolute fullest, and I have no regrets. And I loved everybody with my fullest heart. And I laughed a lot, and I had fun. And I hope I impacted those that interacted with me.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, and you cannot love people to the fullest extent possible if you are hiding a part of who you are.
That's true.
But your issue is that you haven't created urgency around tapping into this deeper aspect of yourself. So the way this is going to play out, if you just kind of continue to move along, not really tapping into your soul identity, your soul purpose, is eventually something's going to happen that is going to be more catastrophic to get your attention.
That catastrophic's a heavy word.
I'm curious that I'm using that word myself. I haven't languaged it that way before. So that's a message specific for you. So the message is pay attention, because if you don't start leaning into this now, it's going to bite you in the ass later, basically.
That changes the game. Like that definitely makes it easier to do. I feel that heavily with the way you say it like that. And
I feel it too.
Yeah.
So what support do you need from this group to get some accountability moving forward?
And just checking in with me and I mean, everybody in this group has been really supportive. It's really awesome to see what everybody's doing and the love that everybody's given each other about what they're doing. So, I mean, I guess you guys just check up on me and make sure I'm doing it. And when I do show up, like, just, you know, support me. That's all. I think that's all I can ask.
Awesome. So what's your takeaway?
Just show up somehow, like whatever feels right, but don't not show up, and show up like your life depends on it, because it does.
Heck yeah. Yep. I'm glad you got that message. That was awesome. And thank you for your courage of being the first person on the hot seat. That was fantastic.
Thanks. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Of course. All right. Sean, you are next.
I'm next. Can you guys hear me? Yes, no, yes, okay. All right, so Emma, my biggest problem that I have is lack of taking action. I used to kind of hit a cycle of getting a lot of momentum with my business, and then I would self-sabotage and momentum would decline. And I've been stuck for probably about 4 or 5 years at the same place, but it's kind of gotten worse where I get things built up in myself so bad that I take no action some days, and that's on the majority of the time. And I can't hear Emma.
I'm here.
Okay.
So when you say have things get built up within yourself, expand on that. Help me understand that.
So it's like a simple tasks. Like I start to take action, and simple tasks, even like I was saying, like an email. I'm building like anxiety based off of that. And I have literally over a email or a Facebook post, like had a panic attack over that.
Okay.
I'm like, why can't I just knock this out? It's not a difficult thing. It's very simple. And I know it's simple, but it's kind of like I have all these tools to do the right thing. I just can't push the button to do it.
Yeah, totally. Great. And I know other folks are going to be able to resonate with this pattern. So thank you for sharing it. Which of your parents would either told you everything had to be perfect or would punish you if you didn't do something right?
Both of them.
Okay. Yeah. So of course you can't take action. Because if you're raised, with people talking in both of your ears about how what you were doing was wrong or bad or not good enough, and their expectation that everything be perfect, of course you're feeling paralyzed.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if it was like both of them criticized me for that, like doing wrong, but they did a lot of the decision making for me as a child. So,
Okay.
So learning to make my own decisions has been difficult for me, and it's been very much a learning process for me.
Okay. So tell me about a decision that you made that went well.
Probably the biggest decision that I made for myself at a younger age, it wasn't, but I joined the special operations community in the Army, and I joined the Army after I graduated from, I went to associate's program and got my associate's degree, my 2-year degree. After that, I joined the military, and that was my own decision.
Okay. And when you were in the military, what did you learn about decision making?
It's vital. It's life or death if you don't make decisions.
Okay. So did you make a lot of decisions when you were in the military?
At first I didn't, but as I kind of became better at my job, I did, because of the position that I had. Lots of times I'd be leading large groups of people because of the position that I had.
Okay. So how does that translate to your business? Because what I heard you say is once you got more comfortable and confident in your job in the military, you were able to make more decisions.
Right. So due to just some things that have happened with life, pretty much I was at a pinnacle of self-confidence when I was in the military, and I've kind of downward spiraled. I'm probably a 180 of what I felt like I was when I was there. I know that's not the case, but that's where I feel like I am. Like, my self-confidence isn't nearly what it used to be.
Okay.
So I think that plays a big part.
Yeah, and I just want to pause for a minute and really acknowledge what you're sharing with me and in front of this group. It's hugely courageous that you're choosing to show up in this way and ask for support. So thank you for doing that. I get it.
Thank you.
So what is it that you're afraid of?
I think it's failure. Failure's never been an option in pretty much any area of my life. That's probably more where not giving the effort or failing was where my parents more criticized me, and that wasn't an option as a child. And in the military, especially special operations, failure is not even a word you even use.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah, and I'd love to see in the chat box other people who can relate to fear of failure, because I think that's true for a lot of people. And certainly as entrepreneurs, because the thing about being an entrepreneur is you make a decision, like you decide, here's my sales goal, or I'm going to do this new project in marketing, or I'm going to make this new hire or whatever. Like you set a goal for yourself, and you may know the first step of moving towards that goal, but you don't know the other 185 steps. You've got to spend a lot of time in the unknown, and there's a huge risk of failure. Like it's just, you're going to fail. And in fact,
Right.
Often failing at one of those steps is what is going to get you to where you really need to be going as you're moving towards your goal. Are you with me so far?
Right. No, definitely. It's kind of like a lot of people say, fail frequently and self-correct as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I would love for you to practice failing. And it doesn't have to be in your business. It could be like trying a new recipe that you haven't cooked before, or trying a sport that you haven't done before, or asking someone to do something with you or help you in some way that you haven't asked for before. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So give me some ideas of ways that you could fail in the next 30 days, things that you could try failing at.
Posting daily on Facebook. That's something that I need to be doing. New recipes, that's easy. I'm not sure.
Okay. So do some brainstorming on that. See if you can come up with 20 to 30 ideas of things that you could fail at. Like really take on the intention of failing, like become an excellent failer. I'm not sure what the word is, but seriously, because we've got to get that 180 shift for you happening again. And the way that's going to happen is you practicing failing over and over again. Like maybe don't apply failing to the marketing campaign or the sales funnel that you're doing with Nicole. Apply it to other areas of your life, not necessarily just to your business. Although failing on posting on Facebook or a Facebook Live, that's a surefire way to help you blast through that fear of failure. So, and I'm giving you this exercise specifically because talking about this more isn't going to help you at this point. Failing is what's going to help you.
Right.
Okay, so how does all that land with you?
That's tough. It's tough for me to take in, even though I know failing is a part of success. But I'm going to be good with it.
Yeah, and make it a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, how can I fail today? What would be the most interesting way to fail today?
Yeah, the tough part for me is my business is probably 99% of my life, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But I can add a few things in to make that happen.
And Sean, that's a problem too, right? Like you
No, I
got
know.
to balance.
Yeah. I know. I'm working more and more to spend a little bit of time in my hobbies that I've kind of let go of for quite some time.
Yeah. Or find a hobby that you could fail at and do that.
Okay.
Okay. So what are your takeaways?
Don't be afraid to fail. Just keep pushing forward. And just let go of the fear, because what's the worst that can really happen?
Yeah. The thing is, you're not going to die.
Right.
And I'm saying that I used to be a trauma chaplain, right? Where literally I would be with people as they were dying or telling them or their loved ones that they were going to die. I guarantee you are not going to die.
Okay. I know. Okay. It just feels like it at the moment sometimes.
Yeah. No, I get it. Absolutely, it feels like that. But I do not believe that it's an accident that you're on this call. You're on this call because you're ready to choose a different way of showing up in your business, and it's time. You're ready for it. And
it's
you have time. Right. You were special operations. Like, come on. You've got the chops to do this.
Right. Right.
Awesome. Well done.
Well, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sean. Everyone appreciates you. Read the comments.
Yeah, I haven't looked yet.
All right, Mary, I'm unmuting you.
Mary from Oklahoma.
Hey, Mary.
Like you said, don't tell you, I mean, man, I don't know where to start. My biggest problem, so I've always kind of come into a point where basically I'll get up to the tear, maybe some projects at work, I get to the tear, and then I just don't do anything and I walk away completely. I've been very, very blessed to have a decent business that has been relatively successful on nothing, but I want to take it to the next spot when I know it's capable of. I've turned 40. I feel this inner thing. I've been just pretty mediocre. I don't have anything businesses compared to these guys, but I'm in rural America, and forgetfulness. I met with some girls yesterday. We're brainstorming. We all have different entrepreneurs, just some friends brainstorming. I sit down at my computer. So what really hit me was the blank brain, the forgetfulness, the procrastination. Like I literally come to a project and I've nothing. The thought process that's always going through my head, without a long story, but I've been a caregiver for my husband for a whole decade. I got divorced. I have a lot of shame. So the money thing is totally me, but I don't and there's a huge separation. Like I know that I know, kind of like David said, like I'm intelligent. Why wouldn't I be capable of it? But I did a live the other day. I did a live last night because I'm going to make myself do them. But I turn off. I'm like, God, I'm such an asshole. That was so dumb.
Okay.
Why would I tell myself that?
Okay. So, Mary, I hear your fear. I hear your frustration with yourself, and I acknowledge that. Help me understand why it's not safe for you to have what you want.
I just probably don't think I deserve it. There was a responsibility I had and I didn't take care of it. So I think it's something that, what makes you think, Mary, you didn't take care of shit, that now you get to have something great? I think that's it.
Are you religious at all? Yeah, okay. So the reason you get to have what you desire is because you are a child of God. And God desires abundance for us. Think of that, like look around at the natural world, at creation. There is abundance all around us. Our entire world is designed for abundance. So it is your right to have what you desire, to experience support, to experience love, to experience abundance, simply because you are a child of God. You are a spiritual being living here in this physical reality, in this world that has been designed to support you.
Yeah, it's a separation of this. I get it, but I don't get it. I mean,
Right. So where is God in this for you?
probably just now coming back around. After the divorce, it was definitely, and mind you, I divorced somebody that I cared for, so I messed up on my responsibilities on the death to us part. So I feel that. So it definitely was something with God. It just kind of was put on hold, not forever. I mean, not all the time, but so it's just now I feel like it's coming back around, and I get it. Like I really do get it. I just don't know how to rewire my brain. I don't know how to. I think I do it part of the time. Oh, and that was the other thing I was saying. Like I always get tear, and I feel like this is the turn in my flywheel. Like I feel like this is where it's going. That's why I've made an investment. Like I know, but how do I stop myself from just? So then I get out there, and I feel like I'm being pretty good about getting out there in front of people. And then how do I stop myself from like the next 12 hours just, oh, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done this. You asked me what my relationship is with God. I don't know.
Yeah. So part of your path to abundance is cultivating that relationship again.
Probably.
Yeah. Understanding that you are not alone and that your worthiness is inherent in your relationship with God. So that's part of it. Another part of it is, holy cow, I think you need to decide for how much longer you're going to be punishing yourself. Is it possible to put a deadline on that?
Yeah.
Because I'm not, like, convince me otherwise, but I'm not hearing that self-punishment is actually having positive results for you or anyone else.
No. Should have been poison.
Yeah. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. You can tell me if you don't want to go in this direction, but I believe even for someone who needs to be cared for whatever, I don't know if your husband had a disability or what, but we are each individuated beings. We are each responsible for ourselves. We cannot, unless you have a child under the age of 18, you are not responsible for anyone else's destiny. You are not responsible for keeping them alive. You are not responsible for fixing them. And I know that's going to trigger people on this call, but you must care for yourself first. And in fact, it can be energetically disempowering to the other person if you are taking on all of the responsibility for them and they are not taking responsibility for themselves.
Yeah.
Can you hear that, Mary?
Yes, I can completely. And that's being as the one caveat is actually it was a brain injury. So he really didn't have, that's probably the one part where you're like, he really didn't have everything together. However, that was my problem, is like I was the mini God. I took care of everybody and I kept everything going, in our little space. I just mean like in control of everything. And so when it didn't fail, that was like I dropped it. And I know it's impossible. That was what was in my head. So that really rings very true to me, is even at the end, God is in control. I mean, really, there's such a bigger picture, and I really do have to let go. And the funniest thing is, if you were one of my clients, the first thing I would tell you is to take care of yourself so you can be a better, a better wife or a better client. I mean, that's the funniest thing, is what I would tell you or, my client.
And I hear that, and sometimes we have to have the lived experience of really getting viscerally what happens when we're not able to do what it is that we tell our clients to do, right? Because that actually makes us stronger coaches.
Yeah. Yeah. So
what do you think about putting a deadline on this self-punishment pattern?
I'm totally up for that.
Okay. Great. So the way I'd like you to do that is write a letter of termination to self-punishment.
What are the biggest things to do not to pick it back up? And I get it, but what's some of the biggest things you can do not to pick it back out?
Right. So you have to write the letter, acknowledge the self-punishment for how it has served you, let it know why you're firing it, burn the letter, and then every time you start to notice yourself self-punishing, you have to say, stop it. That's how you turn it around. It's like, I don't know if you have a pet, but when I was training my dog when he was a puppy, I had to be radically consistent with training him to go outside to pee. Like every single time I had to be on it. Like, let's go outside. Let's do this now. I had to be constantly monitoring whether or not he was about to go to the bathroom in the house. Like, that's how diligent you've got to be with this pattern around self-punishment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. What's your takeaway?
I'm ready to have a deadline. Yeah, I don't even think I really ever put it in the self-punishment verbiage. So realize that that's exactly what I've been doing, is purposely punishing myself. And definitely more continue, but more of getting that relationship back with God. And yeah.
Cool. Well done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to keep them coming. Will, I'm unmuting. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, Will.
Hey, Emma. All right. Yeah, so I mean, I've just been sitting here thinking about it. But yeah, so I've got two businesses now. One that's just getting off the ground. The other one is actually back in Michigan. I'm in Denver, and that one does pretty well. But at every stage of growth, instead of consistently taking care of myself, I just always look at it as that's still not good enough. I've got a responsibility to everyone else, with the exception of myself, to keep making it better, keep improving our staff, financially, knowledge, everything else, our clients, facility, all that stuff. And I 100% self-sabotage myself on my personal finances.
Do you pay yourself first in your businesses?
I pay myself now. I didn't used to, no.
Okay. Do you pay yourself on the same day of each month for the same amount?
I do.
Okay, good job. So then tell me how you're self-sabotaging with your personal finances.
I guess I'm just not, and maybe I'm addressing the wrong thing. So when I left my old career, I started up the gym really it was the most positive thing I had in my life at the time. So I was in the special operations community. I was working overseas, and I was running a nonprofit CrossFit affiliate at the embassy in Kabul for a couple of years, like 5 a.m. So when I decided to leave, when I was just sick of living and working in a combat zone, I started up the gym. So it was always, I never approached it, at least in the early days, like a business. It was something that I would do for free. It's something that fed positivity and good into my community. And it was a mission. It wasn't really a business. I mean, it was in the sense that we charged and we took stuff in. We've grown and we continue to grow, but at each stage, I overreach on the next level of stuff that we give to everyone else. Instead of just saying, this is what we're doing right now is working really well. It's good. Our clients are awesome. Our staff gets better and better. I don't need to keep growing this for the sake of improvement's sake. And I don't know if it's chasing the shiny object or just feeling like it's never going to be good enough based on the idea of what I had when I left.
Okay, cool. So where did you learn that you have to prove your worth?
I could say the special operations community, but probably before that, probably parents.
Okay, so tune into that. Specifically, who showed you or demonstrated to you or told you that you had to prove your worthiness?
Probably my dad.
Okay, so how was that demonstrated or told to you?
Yeah, I mean, he still is a stonemason. I grew up working with him, but he would show me once how to do something and then expect that I would know how to do that forever at like 11 years old, 12 years old. And then it was basically you had to get that right. If you didn't get that right, you heard about it quite a bit until, it would somehow magically fix itself, but it wouldn't, right? Like, because he would never show it again. So it would just be me like figuring it out and, seeing where that went.
Okay, cool. And what has your father said about your gym business?
He's not really a talker, but he has been supportive. Like when we built out the new location, when I got back, I mean, he helped me frame in the walls. He's always been for there. He's definitely always shown up. So it's been more of the physical act of what he's doing as opposed to the words.
How do you think he feels about your businesses?
I don't think he understands them.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I can tell you this definitively, he doesn't.
Right.
He's told me, like, I don't understand why people come to pay you money to do hard work, because he's been a stonemason his whole life.
Okay, so what you're doing, I'm sorry, is it Will?
It is Will.
Well, okay. What you're doing is you're continuing to try to prove your worthiness to your father via your businesses.
Okay. I can see it.
Yeah. So what's up with that?
Great question. I don't know. I think it's always kind of been there, I guess, in the back of my mind. Whether it be the special operations community or when it was contracting or doing any of that stuff. I always did well, but it was always very little actual acknowledgement.
Right. Right. So the thing is, Will, you're going to stay in this pattern in your businesses, with your personal finances, with overgiving, whatever, until you can release needing your father to acknowledge your worthiness.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So I would like for I would like for you to fire your father from your businesses. I would like for you to write him a letter of termination. You don't have to send it to him, but you need to write the letter.
Okay.
And same thing as I said to Mary, write the letter, burn the letter, like do whatever kind of ceremony or not ceremony, like burn it, throw it in the toilet, I don't care. Release it. And then every time you notice yourself going back into that proving energy, remind yourself that who you are right now is perfect. And there is nothing that you need to prove to anyone.
Awesome.
I know this sounds pretty far out there. You may be kind of like, yeah, Emma, fascinating. Don't know if I'm going to write the letter, but
I'm way down with this.
Yeah, it's going to be a game changer for you. Yeah. Oh, and there's going to be a lot of emotions that come up for you around this process. Take all the time you need to write the letter, feel whatever you need to feel, because it's going to be a game changer for you.
Awesome.
Cool. What's your takeaway?
I run my businesses because of who I am, not because of the need to prove it to anybody else.
Exactly. Good. Beautiful. Well done.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. All right, Carla, unmute. We've been exploring this a lot.
Hello. Pardon the frog in my throat. I am much better than yesterday, so hopefully you can understand me. It's kind of interesting now because after listening to everybody, so much has come up for me, but I'm going to choose to kind of ignore that and pretend like I was the first person, and I guess start with where I'm starting so that we can dive into this. So what it is right now is, again, I too didn't take a wage in the first year of my business. I've been in business for 3 years. And then the second year I realized I wasn't understanding what the true cost of my business was. And so I started paying myself like a trainer. And now I have a full staff on board. And I mean, I was training 8 to 12 hours a day of just the personal training, let alone running the business. And so now I'm off the floor. I have maybe 2 hours at most a day. But my biggest fear is I've never paid myself as an owner. I've never paid myself as a manager. And out of 12 months a year, I maybe 4 months I might hit the green, but I only hit the green by $1,000. And every other month I'm negative $2,000 to $5,000 a month. So I don't know what I'm stopping in receiving the money. I don't know what hesitation is there.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to get woo-woo for a minute because this is so great. This is perfect. This is coming up because it happens for so many entrepreneurs. When we do not pay ourselves regularly, we are communicating to the universe that we don't actually want that money regularly. If we are not regularly scheduling our own payroll or however you pay yourself on a certain date of the month or twice a month or weekly or whatever for a certain amount, what we're communicating to the universe is we don't actually need or require that money. When you have that money expected as part of your budget and allocated as part of your budget and, you know, in your accounting for the month, then the universe says, oh, she expects to always generate this amount per month to cover these expenses. It's like we're putting the universe on notice for what it is that we want to receive. So this is relevant for money in your business. It's really relevant for everything in your business. You have to put the universe on notice. Because if you're not asking for what you want, guess what? You're not going to get what you want. Does that make sense, Carla?
Yes, it does make sense because it also made sense in the aspect of understanding how to have a life because I was here over 16 hours a day. And I realized one day when I had an afternoon off, the hardest part was I was going to actually have to fill that with something else.
Right. Yeah, we also do that where we set up these patterns where we believe that we have to work hard in order to make money. And again, if we're working 12, 16, even 8 full hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, we're communicating to the universe that we expect that we will have to work hard in order to earn money. You've really got to set the standard for what it is that you want and expect that it's going to be met. Like that's the clarity of vibration that you must carry as the business owner.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I come from a family that doesn't have any entrepreneurs, and so my family has not really supported me on this venture because they don't understand it. And when you ask like, what has your family said? You know, my dad says to me, I can't believe people pay you for that, but has no problem spending $5,000 on alcohol, getting a headache from it. But the aspect is I was raised in a family of 6 kids with 2 parents, and we were taught you had to work your ass off. Like if you want something in life, you work your butt off for it, and that's what you do. And I feel like that's where I'm stuck, is that, you know, when I start paying myself as a manager and now that I have staff, I don't have to work 16-hour days, and I feel bad going home early. And you know, do I deserve that?
Do you deserve that?
Yeah, absolutely I do. I can't keep this up.
Why do you deserve it though?
Because I deserve to have everything else. I'm only balanced in my career. My biggest thing was that I wanted to be in love. I wanted to have a relationship. I wanted to be with somebody, and I wasn't giving myself that time, but then it gave me something to complain about, right? I had friends before, and since I opened the business, I don't have any friends. Also because I moved to a brand new town, so I didn't have a chance to meet anybody, but my life became my business. And then I just made myself busy with that because it was my purpose.
Right. Right. What do you really want?
I want what I had. That's what I really want. Whereas I was outgoing, I was fun, I had friends, I was active, I worked, the money was there. There was no worries.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have the conversation that I have had with a lot of 7-figure entrepreneurs who have worked and proved their way to 7 figures, where they've been working 8 to 16-hour days for years and have been in the hustle and been in the proving and not had lives and just devoted everything to their business. What happens almost consistently across the board is the person gets to 7 figures, says, holy cow, I have arrived. And then in the next moment, they realize that they hate themselves, hate their businesses, don't like anything, and they have not built a sustainable business model. And essentially, they've got to burn their business to the ground and rebuild it because it's been built on a platform that is not sustainable. So what I want for you is to start shifting now so you don't have to shift later, because I guarantee it's going to be a lot more complicated to rebuild your business when you're at that kind of financial level or whatever your financial goal is, rather than right now where you are. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Cool. Okay. What's your takeaway?
My takeaway is and I said this in the chat, was that I have to start showing up differently. I'm not an employee anymore. I'm an owner, and I need to start acting like that, and I need to start wearing that.
Yeah. Good. Wonderful. Well done.
Thank you, Carla. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to go into one more, and we'll see where this leads us. Right.
Yeah, let's see what we can do in the next 5 minutes or so.
Calvin?
Hello, Emma. I'm Calvin. I'm in Marble Falls, Texas.
Hey, Calvin.
My stomach has been in knots the entire call. So I have, it took me about 7 years to be smart enough to finally hire on coaches. I've got 3 coaches. I'm now on the floor, and I'm doing absolutely nothing with as far as being really productive in my time to be productive. I've been getting ready. Like I said, anxiety has come up. I've never been this guy. In the last several years, I had a terrible divorce from a bad relationship with a very legalistic church that I was a part of for about 12 years. And it was like a divorce and separation that a lot of our identity, my wife and I's identity was in there. So so I'm a man of faith. My business is faith based. I feel like I'm just like someone was saying earlier. I feel like a hypocrite. I can give a bunch of lessons and motivate and inspire folks, but empower folks, but myself, not so much. You know, I've just been stuck, get ready, procrastinating, self-sabotage, and in the same spot.
Why do you think you're doing that?
I don't know if it's fear of success or failure or a combination of both. But I mean, I know I've taken it into my body. I've realized TMS, you know, has situations that the stress has affected my body. Even my back is hurt right now while just being on this call.
Yeah, it feels like it actually feels energetically, Calvin, like if you were to fully step into your own power, people would die. What I mean by that, there's some kind of, we're not going to get into this for this particular call, but there's some kind of deep past life connection where you have actually been in a position of power and you actually did intentionally harm people. Okay, so regardless of whether or not you believe that, that same pattern is playing out right now. As you're looking at the possibility of stepping into your true authentic power and inspiring and motivating others, you're recreating a situation where your influence could possibly kill other people. Does that make any sense to you?
I can only think about it as far as I you know, like life, death, and the power of the tongue, and I used to be able to talk people down very easily or take advantage of women in my earlier days, but I don't know about past life wise, but I guess living for Christ, I was that guy.
Yeah.
I'm talking about life that worked out. I'm a totally different person from who I used to be.
Right, but that pattern is still playing out. Like your subconscious is still reliving that pattern. Even though you may have reconciled it consciously within yourself, that pattern is still playing out. So what you need to do actually is reassure yourself that you're not going to harm anyone, that no one is going to come to harm by you doing your purpose in the world.
Okay.
Are you with me so far?
All right. That's kind of, it just hit me off left field. I just wasn't expecting that. Wow, this didn't see it, but I'm open.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for being open. And this is bringing up a lot. Like I can feel how much it's bringing up for you. And you may not be able to actually comprehend everything that I'm saying to you right now. So Nicole, if you can follow up with Calvin and give him some support around this. What I'm seeing is that past way of being either in this lifetime or a past lifetime is resurfacing, the patterns resurfacing. And this is about you feeling safe enough to step into your power, into your truth, into your purpose, into your ability to literally inspire millions. That's what I can see within you. Okay? And trusting that you are not going to do any harm.
Yeah, I think part of it is the pressure of if I fail, that a lot of people fail on with me. I know I feel that. Whether
right.
it's my employees, my members, my clients, my family. You know, I think there's a lot of people counting on me, and it's all for me to not be. And I believe there's a lot of greatness in there. Like I tell Nicole, I'm on the cusp of it, but I've been blocking it myself. There's nothing.
Yeah, and one of the ways you're blocking it is you're taking on too much responsibility for other people. I get that they're your family or your members or whatever, but you are actually taking on more responsibility than you need to for them. It's like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Yeah, I feel it.
Okay. So what do you think you need to do to start releasing some of that weight?
Well, no, part of it is just taking action, getting closer to, taking action for the stuff that I need to be doing right now.
No. It's forgiving yourself. I'm doing this in the interest of time.
Okay.
It's forgiving yourself.
Okay.
So think about, you don't have to do it here, but think about what you need to forgive yourself for and ask for some support around doing that forgiveness work.
All right.
Cool. All right. What's your takeaway?
Well, obviously, to forgive myself and not carry everybody with me. And to see, I think that's part of it. Is the stress behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Just forgive myself for it.
Cool. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Calvin. And to everybody else, I can't say enough about Emma, and that's why I wanted you here today, and I appreciate it more than you know. I don't know if you were getting to read the chat, but it's just been going the entire call. So lots of breakthroughs for everybody. Want to say anything in closing, Emma?
Y'all, thank you so much for the courage and vulnerability and authenticity that you brought to today's call. It was really powerful, and thank you for the beautiful support that you're offering to one another. Nicole, for holding this container, for setting this tone so that people could really show up. It was wonderful to be with you all.
Yes, and I really attribute to the fact that I have drawn these particular people here today to a lot of the work that I've done with you. So thank you for everything.
Awesome.
We'll connect soon. Thank you so much, everyone. I will look forward to having some conversations regarding this call with you, potentially on our call tomorrow and privately, and keep me posted on what comes up for all of you. So thank you again.
Bye for now.
Thank you.